everyone! Number 44 in the Queen 50 series, and today it is a title which has come up many times in the suggestions saying you really need to listen to this. I'm finally here. Innuendo. And, well, let's see what there is to read about it, and then we'll have a listen. Innuendo is the 14th studio album by Queen, released on the 4th of February, 1991. We're really moving up closer to almost 2000s. Well, alright, it's only 91, but still, when I'm thinking back where I started with the history of rock, and this whole Queen journey, 1991 feels almost recent. It was the band's last album to be released in Freddie Mercury's lifetime, and their most recent one to be composed of entirely new material. It reached the #1 spot on the UK album charts for 2 weeks, and also peaked at #1 in Italy, the Netherlands, Germany, and Switzerland, staying at #1 for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, and 8 weeks, respectively. It was the first Queen album to go gold in the US upon its release since The Works in 1984. Wow. Stylistically, Innuendo is in some sense a return to Queen's roots, with its harder rock sound, complex musical composition, psychedelic effects, and strong vocals from Mercury ranging 3 octaves, F2 to F5. 9 months after the album was released, Mercury died of AIDS-derived bronchopneumonia. Okay, so this was just 9 months before his death. Innuendo was written by Freddie Mercury and Roger Taylor, but credited to Queen. The single debuted at #1 on the UK singles chart in January 1991, the band's first #1 hit since Under Pressure, nearly a decade before, and additionally reached the top 10 in 10 other countries. At 6.5 minutes, it is one of Queen's epic songs. The song has been described as reminiscent of Bohemian Rhapsody because it was harking back to their progressive rock roots. Its verses are in the Phrygian dominant and features a flamenco guitar section performed by Yes guitarist Steve Howe and Brian May, also in that mode, an operatic interlude, and sections of hard rock that recall early Queen, in addition to the lyric inspired in part by Mercury's illness. Is this the first time we're really seeing a piece of music that it's acknowledged that the lyrics were inspired by Freddie's illness? I'll have to keep that in mind. Steve Howe has said he was so proud to have played on the song, and he became the only Queen non-member to have played guitar on a studio recording of a Queen song. That's impressive. Howe and Mercury had been friends for several years, since they ran into each other quite often at the Townhouse Studios in London. On a break from a recording session in Geneva, Howe drove to Montreux and stopped to have lunch. There he ran into Martin Groves, who had worked for Yes before, and by this time was Queen's equipment supervisor. Groves told him Queen were in the studio at the moment. Just a little side note, I'm reading this and thinking about Yes. I've listened to one piece by Yes that is Close to the Edge, and I will be returning to Yes, but it's going to be interesting now, having taken this deep dive into the Queen repertoire, and I guess it didn't really sink in that Yes and Queen were so closely linked or had so much to do with each other along the way, that even one of their guitarists was featured on a Queen piece. So when I get back to Yes, that's going to be a perspective that I'll keep in mind. Groves told him Queen were in the studio at the moment. As soon as Steve Howe went into the studios, Mercury asked him to play some guitar, according to producer Dave Richards, who had worked with Yes in the past as well. A lot of overlap here. Another version is that Brian May was the one who asked him to play the flamenco bit. When the members of Queen asked if Howe wanted to play on the title track, Howe politely suggested they'd lost their minds. It took the combined weight of Mercury, May, and Taylor to persuade him. According to Steve Howe, inside, there's Freddie, Brian, and Roger all sitting together. They go, "Let's play the album." Of course, I'm hearing it for the first time, and they saved Innuendo itself until last. They played it, and I was blown away. They all chimed in, "We want some crazy Spanish guitar flying around over the top. Improvise!" I started noodling around on the guitar, and it was pretty tough. After a couple of hours, I thought, I've bitten off more than I can chew here. That's an interesting comment because somehow I have this impression that the Yes guitarist is very accomplished. So now he's feeling a little bit. Vlad's sitting in the back saying, he is. Yes, I mean, I remember with Close to the Edge, and I remember all the comments, everybody saying, yes, has an amazing guitarist. And now he's feeling intimidated and a little bit out of his depth here in this context.
Well, now you know what to expect.
I had to learn a bit of the structure, work out what the chordal roots were, where you had to fall if you did a mad run in the distance. You have to know where you're going. Well, as a musician, I can attest to that. But it got towards evening and we doodled and I noodled and it turned out to be really good fun. We have this beautiful dinner, we go back to the studio and have a listen, and they go, that's great. That's what we wanted. The album's liner notes contain the credit on Innuendo. Additional wandering minstrel Spanish guitar, somewhere in the middle, by Steve Howe. Many thanks, Steve. Isn't that sweet? Okay, so this is going to be quite an experience. Let's see how it goes. Okay. This is far more than some little seaside rendezvous piece of music. This has the feeling of, yes, epic and heroic. There's this, from the very first, that drum roll that opens everything, and then as we settle in with this percussion and the instruments, it feels like we are looking through the ages and we are looking ahead through, well, as it said, eons, and all that takes place. But it has this This line, I like the opening. While the sun hangs in the sky and the desert has sand, while the waves crash in the sea and meet the land. This first line, sun hangs in the sky and the desert has sand. Actually, it made me for a moment jump to another piece that I've heard. Kashmir. Kashmir.
That's it.
By Led Zeppelin, right. Somehow it has that same feeling of power and the broad expanse that Led Zeppelin put into Kashmir. And it starts out with this, I suppose it's partly the lyrics, the sun and the desert and the sand, but still there's this feeling of, this is incredible.
Till the end of time. Through the sorrow, all through our splendor, don't take offense at my innuendo. You can be anything you want to be. Just turn yourself into anything you think that you could ever be. Be free with your tempo. Be free, be free. Surrender your ego. Be free to yourself. If there's a God or any kind of justice under the sky, if there's a point, if there's a reason to live or die, if there's an answer to the questions we feel bound to ask, show yourself, destroy our fears, release your mask. Oh, yes, we'll keep on trying. Hey, tread that fine line. Yeah, we'll keep on smiling. Yeah, and whatever will be, will be. Just keep on trying till the end of time. Till the end of time. Till the end of time.
I like the way it just fades out into the end of time and goes on forever. Okay, I like this piece. I like it a lot. I'm going to have to listen to it a few more times to really, get to know each section really, really well. But there's so much in here, so much. And different portions of it, of course, put me in different places, linked me to different, even classical pieces. This section in the middle, it could be Schubert. And then, of course, the Spanish, and then the percussion at the beginning, kind of bolero style, reminiscent of Ravel, and then all these other parts. Sometimes I feel like I was in the same sort of space as when I listened to a powerful Beethoven piece of music, and other times it was so tender and
Well, that's rock music for you, okay?
Fair enough. I like the lyrics as well. I think that they are, well, it's kind of fun. Of course, they have a lot of depth to them, but this little moment, be free with your tempo. As they're playing this incredible piece of music, be free with your tempo. As if anybody is going to think about tempo, that's a musical term. And of course, you all know tempo means time, the speed of. But be free with your tempo. When's the last time somebody told you that to your, directly in conversation? It has this sense of playing with words, playing with context, playing with the fact that we're playing music and talking about being free with your tempo in the midst of the music. And of course, far beyond that. But I like the little playful elements in here, as well as the profound, the epic, the heroic, the eternal, and this idea that we'll keep on trying. We'll keep on trying, regardless. We'll keep on trying. And I guess knowing that this was inspired in part by Freddie's illness adds an extra little touch of pathos to it, doesn't it? And there's actually one other set of text I have to read, which Vlad told me don't look at until after you've heard the piece the first time. So now I'm going to read it, and then maybe we'll listen again. Innuendo was pieced together like a jigsaw puzzle. The recurring theme with the bolero-esque beat started off as a jam session between May, Deacon, and Taylor. Mercury then added the melody and some of the lyric, which were then completed by Taylor. The middle section was primarily Mercury's work. Of course. Who else in the band would write like that? According to an interview with May in October 1994's Guitar Magazine. It features a flamenco guitar solo followed by a classically influenced bridge and then the solo again, but performed with electric guitars. This section is especially complex, featuring a pattern of 3 bars in 5/4 time, reasonably uncommon in popular music, followed by 5 bars in the more often used 3/4 time. That's where it got us up wanting to waltz, and I was kind of gesturing along with it in that section. The end of the flamenco guitar style is based on the 5/4 bar, but is in 6/4 time. I love that, really playing with time signatures like we do in classical music. Lots of fun. The bridge section, You Can Be Anything You Want to Be, features sophisticated orchestration created by Mercury and producer David Richards using the popular Korg M1 keyboard synth workstation. Mercury had arranged and co-arranged orchestras in his solo career and closed the previous Queen album with the track Was It All Worth It? I guess I haven't listened to that one. Maybe sometime in the future. Which included a Gershwin-esque interlude, also coming from an M1 synth. Yeah, so my guess about them, some of these orchestral sounds and instrumental sounds being synth-produced, was right. But they blend them so well with the overall mix that it doesn't feel cheap or out of place. It feels like it really belongs. So I don't mind. The bridge section in Innuendo is in 3/4, showing once again Mercury's affection for triple meters, such as Bicycle Race, which is another one with main sections in 4/4 and middle 8 in 3/4. And some of his best-known pieces, namely We Are the Champions and Somebody to Love, were in 6/8, as would be his last composition, A Winter's Tale. Well, speaking of 3/4 versus 6/8, maybe I should just take a moment to make a point here. Because this little write-up is kind of equating 3/4 with 6/8. And to my musician's mind, I'm screaming, no, 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 no. You have to think mathematically for a moment. Think of 3 items in a row. That's 3/4. Now, divide each of those items in half. You have 6 of them now. Let's pretend these are halves. We now have 6/8. The only problem is 3/4 is divisible by 3. 6/8, traditionally, most often, is divisible by 2. We have a set of 3 and a set of 3. So 3/4 and 6/8, although they have the same number of items, either whole units or divided in half, they divide them differently. They group them differently, and so the feeling is different. Here's 3/4. 1, 1, 2, 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and okay? You really feel the 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. Now, 6/8. 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 feels completely different. There's a sort of a triplet inner quality to each of the 2 lumps in 6/8. But yeah, so that's just a little digression because my musical mind won't allow it to pass uncommented. Well, with all of that, this is such a great piece. I feel like I want to go back through it. Here we go. At least here we start in 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now go listen to Ravel's Bolero, and you will hear a similar, not identical, but similar rhythm in the drums. And all of this coming in. And the guitar there. The way everything enters one after the next. This is just really great. And this drum roll, which goes on and on. And the counting in. It's as if they've got this drum roll going, and then as it's going, you somehow have to get the band to come in on time. So you hear them counting 1, 2, 3, 4, and off we go. But yeah, clearly it's in 4 to start with, isn't it? And we can feel it as well. Maybe not so much with the drum roll intro. We're not really sure what's going on until the voice helps us. 2, 3, 4, 1. Now we can feel it. 4. And the 4, 2, 4. 4. The organ enters. This little bit of feedback up here. And the guitar. Oh, it's gorgeous. And the bass is walking things around. Well, I said the bass is walking things around, and then suddenly it sits 1, 2, 3. It's kind of nice what it does there. 1, 2, 3, 4.
While the sun hangs in the the
3,
sky
4,
and the
and 1,
desert has
2,
sand.
3, 4, and
While the waves crash in the sea and meet the land. While there's the wind and the storm.
now, once we settle into this, we don't hear it so much. But if we go back and listen to that intro again, you will hear this drum pattern, which, well, let's listen. If you go listen to Ravel's Bolero, you will hear a very similar percussion pattern all the way through the piece. It never lets up. This one, now it changes. But we still feel like it's happening there because it changes in a way that's simply pulling us further into the piece. But listen to the bolero. It's legendary for its use of the same thing repeated over and over and over. And really the only difference is that other instruments come in join in to the grand climax. Funny little side note, Ravel thought it was a horrendous piece of music after he wrote it. He said it was not music. He would not call it music. And then, of course, it became one of his biggest hits. But that is a very famous classical bolero, and now you can hear the same kind of rhythm here because it is the bolero style. But it's kind of fun to compare them. This somehow makes me think of... I somehow get the feeling of an orange-streaked sky here in this section. Something about the sounds and the instruments and the voice and the roughness of the sound makes me think of a really vivid, perhaps uncomfortably vivid, as if it's before a storm or just after a storm, and the light is kind of weird and it's unsettling, but there are these orange streaks in the sky.
And the desert has sand. While the waves crash in the sea and meet the land. While there's the wind and the storm.
And we're stepping up a pitch. I mean, really, till the mountains crumble into the plain.
We'll keep on trying.
Keep on trying.
Tread that fine line. Oh, we'll keep on trying. Yeah. Just passing our time.
I like the way the bass is pulsing here. Doesn't this have a feeling of weight and heaviness and seriousness and kind of everybody facing a danger together, and this sort of shoulder to shoulder, hand in hand proclamation of our purpose and our aim in life, and set with the text. While we live according to race, color, or creed, while we rule by blind madness and pure greed, our lives dictated by... I mean, it's not even trying to say we're going to throw these off, because there's a sense of realism here, isn't there? Maybe more so than in their earlier stuff, where it was more fanciful and imaginative and rosy colored. Now this is feeling like there's a seriousness to life, and we're not going to fix it. It's not going to be miraculously solved. But while all of this is going on, and we acknowledge our faults, our weaknesses, that our lives are dictated by traditions, superstition, false religion, through the eons, on and on, and on and on. That's such a Freddie line. Through the eons, and on and on. Oh yes, we'll keep on trying. In other words, yeah, we're not fixing things. This world is a mess. We have problems galore. And it's going to be like that now and as far as we can see into the future. But we're going to keep on trying. And it's this feeling of an entire... There's a sort of tribalness to it. What I mean by that is it makes us feel like this is some ancient... I mean, it kind of puts us back to imagining some ancient civilization rising up and standing together to face whatever danger is coming to them. And that feeling of unity, tribalness, is being put on us here now in this modern world. Not you there, each of you do the little things you can do and make your own little mark in the world and try to make a difference. This is more about, this is a common goal and a common act that is I'm going to say all of mankind, sort of tribalness for all of mankind, that we all band together, and this is what we are going to do in our various cultures and religions and faults and failings. We are going to keep on trying. That's what I get from this, and it has this incredible feeling of power because of that.
While we live according to race, color, or creed, while we rule by blind madness and pure greed, our lives dictated by tradition, superstition, false religion, through the hours and on.
And I love the bit of echo and reverb put in there.
Yes, we'll keep on trying. We'll tread that fine line. Oh, we'll keep on trying till the end of time.
The end.
Till the end of time.
And this. So sweet and beautiful. It's as if we've just shifted from looking at this vast, epic passing of time and into the future and back into the past and all of this heroic stuff. Now we are drawn to a very small place. Maybe it's a little rock by a meadow. Maybe it's just outside of a mountain village. Maybe there is a very small flower growing by the path. Something very small and simple and inconsequential and fragile, delicate, pure. So all of those things. And it's as if we've been told all of this wonderful stuff, and we have ourselves inspired to go out and make a difference in the world, and now he brings us in and says, every little flower.
Through the sorrow.
And here, this could be Schubert.
Don't take offense at my innuendo.
Right here, this is classic Schubert piano accompaniment style. And now we have a dance, like a village dance. And this is where the yes guitarist is playing, right? You can see the swirling skirts and the clapping villagers and the happiness, the simple life. All the way to the bottom.
You can be anything you want to be. Just turn yourself into anything
This is the waltz.
that you could ever be. Be free with your tempo. Be free, be free. Surrender your ego. Be free to yourself.
And now here's the village dance, but it's a little bit more intense now. Is this more into the early morning, and now most of the people are tired, but now it's the young guys' turn to go out and do their wild, show off their moves when everybody else is breathing hard and worn out. But the idea is that this is portraying a small, simple life, a village life, enjoyment of the simple things, a local celebration, a wedding, a birth, a christening, a harvest, something like that, in the traditional, simple way. And then the waltz comes in, which is also a dance, which is very light and happy and buoyant. And then we're brought back to this sort of feeling of be happy, be free. Wait, weren't we just being all heroic and high-minded and out to do our very best to reform ourselves in spite of everything against us, in spite of the odds? Well, what's it saying? This is how to live. And if you live this way, whether it's in this religion or that religion, or this part of the world or that part of the world, this regime or that regime, wherever you are, if you can stay connected and alive to what we sometimes call the simple things in life, that is where to start to keep on trying. That is where to start. If you abandon all of that, you lose your roots, you lose your bearings, and then all your efforts to make any sort of positive difference end up being off balance and actually causing a lot of problems, don't they? Because you lose connection with your humanity and with the humanity from which you have come. So that's kind of how I'm feeling it at this moment. And of course it's electric guitars this time. Nice harmonizing. Now we're back to 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Settling in.
If there's a God or any kind of justice under the sky,
This is being
if there's a point, if there's a reason
epic
to
again.
live or die, if there's an answer to the questions we feel bound to ask, show yourself, destroy our fears, release your mask.
Oh, what's that movie? It's an old classic movie. Fiddler on the Roof. It somehow reminds me there of Fiddler on the Roof, because these questions, if there is a God, if you do this, as he's saying, couldn't you just, I'm not asking much, couldn't you just allow me this? If there's a God, at least release your mask. Let us not be afraid.
If there's an answer to the questions,
If there's an answer, show yourself. Destroy your fears. Release your mask. Because we're going to keep on trying. Don't think that somehow you have to keep yourself hidden for us to try. We're doing our best down here. We're these little people and we're just trying. It's such a great expression of these sentiments.
destroy our fears, release your mask. Oh, yes, we'll keep on trying. Hey, tread that fine line.
And the chorus now. Everybody together. Yes. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. And here's the bolero rhythm a little bit. Actually, more in the orchestra than in the drums. Dee-dee-dee-dee, bum, bum. Leaves it feeling somewhat unresolved, doesn't it? Not closed, not coming to an end. Time goes on. Well, so this is Innuendo, the song from Innuendo, the album. And I can understand why so many of you have been so eager for me to get to this point. And Vlad is behind the camera just beaming with satisfaction that finally we're here. Really a great piece of music. And it's interesting thinking about, okay, this is kind of partially inspired by Freddie's illness and his knowledge of the state of things. And innuendo, you think of innuendo, the meaning of the word, it's kind of an implied or unstated message or idea, perhaps a bit elusive, but certainly not stated out front, and usually not complimentary, disparaging, perhaps. I don't have the exact dictionary definition, but that's basically the meaning of the word. And you can hear Freddie's frustration and his feeling of, oh my goodness, I could have so much life ahead of me and it's not going to happen. And his reaction, his feeling of, I just want to live. And this line, if there's a God or any kind of justice under the sky, if there's a point, if there's a reason to live or die, if there's an answer to the questions we feel bound to ask, just come on, just show yourself, give me a sense, give me a reason. Why does it have to be me now? When I have so much that I want to accomplish, I still have music pouring out of me. I still have things I want to do. I want to live. And I guess that's the closest I see in this piece of music to perhaps the innuendo. That is what jumps out at me. And it's interesting thinking, well, I've listened to a lot of, at least a handful of pieces by quite a few different rock artists now. Let's see, there was Janis Joplin and Jim Morrison and who else? A whole list of artists who died young. We could
Jimi
say
Hendrix, Kurt Cobain, John Lennon.
okay, yeah. So all of these who we kind of feel like their careers were cut short. The gift they could offer us was stolen too soon by death. And here's Freddie. Well, all of them, yes, it happened too young, too soon, tragically. But they didn't know it was coming. So they kind of lived full steam up to the end blindly. But here's Freddie, and he knows what's coming. He can't avoid the reality, and it's having an impact on the messages that he is, and I think probably the whole band, because by now the band knew of it as well. And they're having to wrestle with and confront this and realize that, I mean, we have so much we could do, but our time is short. We don't even know how short it is, but we know that this is not going to go on for much longer. And I guess I read in the preliminary comments, he only lived 9 months beyond this recording. I love the fact that it has this line of, we'll keep on trying regardless. I mean, what am I going to do? Sit down and die? Give up? Because I know my end is coming? What's the point? I mean, every one of us has an end to face at some point in time anyway, so why don't we all just sit down and die now? No, there's this attitude of, I'm going to keep on going. I'm going to go as far, as fast, as hard as I can, and accomplish as much as I can, as positively as I can. But still, why? And it's really powerful, isn't it? I like the piece. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to listen to it many times over and let it kind of sink into me. But this first exposure, I think it's a wonderful piece of music. I'll see you all soon.